Hello, rock stars. Welcome to In the Pit. I am your host, Rick. And yes, I'm still in timeout for something I did, and you're in timeout with me. But that's okay, because this week, our guest is none other than Mark Schulman from Pink. How are you, sir?
I am rocking extremely. I've been having a ball lately. I've been having a ball. We just had so much fun at that drumathon. Oh my gosh. That's where I met
my
the infamous Rick of Ric in the Pit.
Oh my God. So we actually met, we did meet a few years ago. And I will tell you, it's when I was asked the first time, and it's one of my questions for you. When I was asked the first time, would you donate your time and come help MC drumathon? I had to get up to speed and find out what it's anything with drums. Of course, I'm going to say yes. But then when I found out the premise behind it, I was in wholeheartedly. Was it the same?
Yeah,
was it the same for you? Were you just like, yeah, not a problem?
Yeah, I was so moved when I met April years ago. And I mean, her commitment, first of all, the fact that she's has a double mastectomy, breast cancer twice. She is the most tenacious and bold, and really, as far as what she's been able to accomplish with this breast cancer can stick it. I mean, she raises between $50,000 and $100,000 every year, brings in some of the greatest drumming talent, and I've been blessed to be there 3 years with some of the great drummers, and we always have a ball, and it's such a wonderful experience. And I always challenge people on stage, and I always do my best to try to raise extra money as well. And April is so bold. I mean, she actually put out a photo of herself topless with a double mastectomy, which to me, when I saw that, I thought, oh my gosh, this woman is just so absolutely committed. And just the shock value, but the emotional response I had to it was like, that's profound. And
yes,
she lives, eats, and breathes it. And every time I go to Dallas, we always get together. She's become a really good friend, and she's a heck of a drummer too. I mean, she could really play. So I love that about her. We always get to play together.
What's funny is I only got to play with one drummer this year, and because I was so busy emceeing, and I got to play with April, and I didn't know. And of course, you know, there's a plethora of talent out there, and it's fun. Funny, I think how we all become little kids again, and it's like, oh my God, I get to play with April, and all I could think of doing is I started out with kind of like a Billy Idol Dancing with Myself beat, just a G, and she's always, she knows that I play fast anyhow. And she just jumped right
in. And then you went into a ska thing. I watched it, man. It was great. I love you. Yeah, it was great.
I like doing that stuff. And that's
you slammed it, man. You slammed it. It was awesome.
But she,
the both of you.
Thank you very much. She is always a thrill for me because I've over the last 5-6 years, I've really gotten to know Miss April. And like you said, her commitment to this has been just, I mean, unwavering. Wow. She is a warrior. And I would hope that if I was faced with such an arduous challenge, that I would be able to step up. And again, she is an inspiration to me as well. Because man, I'm just like, who would have thought of doing something like this? And it's such a phenomenal cause. I mean, truly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all the cancer causes. I donate monthly to St. Jude Children's Hospital. I went and actually visited and hung out with the kids and did percussion with the kids in Minneapolis. And it was very emotional. And I'm a cancer survivor myself.
Yes, you are.
But the way that I see what I had is almost like it was so minimal compared to what I see so many other people go through. So I consider myself blessed and lucky that I had it so easy because they discovered my cancer very, very early. So it was very treatable. And I had a little bit of radiation. And I do remember, though, I was called to do a session. And they said, I did my first day of radiation, and they said, well, if you get nauseous, you won't get nauseous for at least a week. So I did the radiation. The next day I had a 12 or 14 hour session doing a bunch of commercial, like bumpers and stingers, they call them, for a radio station.
Yeah.
And I was nauseous the whole day. And I'm reading these charts and playing drums. I remember at one point I just got up in between, we had a little break, and I was leaning on the wall. And it was halfway between like, I'm so nauseous, and yet I'm so grateful that I know I'm going to be okay. So I just kept on bringing in the power of gratitude to offset the nausea.
And that's really the key, though, is it not? To be grateful every day, because I think sometimes we all get get caught up in the negative, like, oh my God, this isn't going right, or that's not going right. And really we forget to go, wow, look at how blessed I am. Look at the things that are going right. And I guess that's kind of a life thing. Like, let's look at the cup half full, not half empty, which is
absolutely.
I've been guilty of it in the past. And now I try, me personally, everybody goes, you're always so smiley. Cause I'm half full.
That's where I am, because I feel like my job literally is to be of service to everybody. When I'm on stage playing with Pink, I want to be of service to Pink, the band, the dancers, the crew, the audience. When I'm at home with my wife and kid, I want to be of service to them. I feel like life is about being of service, because I discovered that if I'm of service to other people and if everybody else around me is happy, it's so much easier to be happy.
Well said. Well said.
They say happy wife, happy life, but sort of happy everybody, happy life.
Happy life.
And I believe that as drummers, we are like the shepherds of the band in a way. We're the foundation, literally. So when I'm on the road, I always make sure everybody else gets in the bus before I do. I just feel this sense of responsibility that I want to take care of everybody the best I can. And I'm cool, man.
It's funny you say that, because everybody always goes, hey, Rick, have you ever thought of getting out in front of a band? And I'm like, nope, I'm a drummer. And they go, why? And it's real simple. We sit on a throne. That is a place of honor. And I love the weight and responsibility of being a drummer. It is a role that I'm more than capable of doing, and I actually thrive in, because I like keeping my folks together. We are a band. My job is the heartbeat, one of the most important organs in the body. Yeah. I like being the heartbeat. And that's my thing, is I love being back there. It's a brotherhood, a sisterhood. It's a tribe. Any drummer you meet, you are instantly kin with. Like, we are all drummers.
I mean, drummers are communal. Yes. And we are tribal. And drummers are also very willing to share. Like, if you ask a drummer to show you a lick, I was like, yeah, man, of course I'll show you everything. They'll break down for you. Guitar players a little bit like, I don't know. No, I love guitar players. I think everybody should own one.
Own a guitarist or a guitar player?
Guitar player. That's my joke. No, I mean,
I love it.
It's a joke in bad taste, but the truth is, all in all, drummers really have such a strong camaraderie.
Yes.
As a group of musicians, stronger than I've seen in any other group of musicians. And that's why we'll do things like have a drumathon, and you'll go to a drum clinic and hundreds of people will show up. And there's something about who we are and what we represent, and the fact that you're right, we're the heartbeat and we're the foundation.
We are.
It does make a difference.
And I think that's really why I was drawn to it years ago. Even to this day, if I play a show, in fact, the night before Drumathon, I played with 5 bands. I was in 2 of them, but 5 of us played a show up north. And I told all the drummers, I reached out, I said, how about everybody use my drum set? I'm the headliner anyhow. Why don't you guys make it easy? You don't have to bring anything. Just use my gear. And everyone's like, really? I'm like, absolutely. Guys.
Oh, yeah.
Let's make this easy on us. I'll sound check for all y'all. Just come up and use my gear. And again, drummers are like that. And then everyone's like, can I help you break down? No, because I have a method to my mayhem. I don't have a roadie. So I'm like, everything goes away, because when it comes back out at the next gig, it needs to be where it is. And everyone goes, I get it. I know.
Totally understand.
See, that's my point.
I've been fortunate. Obviously, I've done some big tours, and I always have a drum tech. Mm-hmm. But Larry Lally, who's one of the great drummers on Broadway, he's basically done nearly every show, either as the principal or as a substitute. He's a dear friend. And we went to see Bernard Purdie play one night at a club in New York City. And we're like, Bernard, when he was done, like, you sit down. We ripped down his gear for him. We carted his gear out. We put it in the van, because he's Bernard Purdie. And we're like younger drummers, and that's just what you do, man. Out of respect. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. That's how it has to be. And it's funny, because you and I were talking at Drumathon, and we had a couple conversations, and one of them was about teaching the next generation and always looking out for the younger drummers. And there was a young lady that I introduced you to, who is a budding young drummer. And I will tell you, I can't thank you a million times. She was just enamored with meeting you, and she was a little nervous, but she is so excited to be a drummer. And her mom said, I've never seen her more excited about something than to play drums. And I said, you know what? She will do this for a lifetime. And that's what I tried to explain to her. I said, sweetie, we are all the same. We are all the same way. You start playing drums now. This isn't there's a finish line. This is, you will be learning the rest of your life and you will never get tired of it. And it's just something you will do. And she goes, really? I told her that I think I said something to you. Over COVID, one of the things I did is I had a drum set built, but I ended up getting out just a snare, kick, and a hi-hat. And I spent weeks just playing the three of them. And I told her that, and she goes, really? I said, it's the simplicity of really knowing you don't need all the gobbledygook, getting back to the basics. And do you you still find yourself doing a lot of that?
Well, remember, I think I told you the story that I was in Germany at this big drumming camp with a bunch of other drummers and some amazing drummers, some amazing German drummers. And I think Alfredo Reyes was there, Alfredo Reyes Jr., excuse me. And what other, I don't remember any other drummers from the States. They were all the German drummers.
Okay.
But are we still on?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. And I was playing with this amazing drummer named Udo Dominant. Udo Dominant had this huge double bass kit with a gazillion toms, and we were going to do a drum battle, drum duet, so to speak. So I thought, well, what would be cool? How can I really enhance this and make this a better experience? So I came out with a kick, snare drum, hi-hat, and splash.
Oh.
And it forced me to go places that I would have never thought I could go. And the truth is, I don't even remember what I did. I sort of went into this zone, and all I know is everybody loved it, because I think they appreciated the fact that I was just going so minimalistic. And I also played the Baked Potato, the famous jazz club in Los Angeles. I was playing with this fusion band, so really intense chop stuff.
Yeah.
And my friend was there, and he says, I dare you to take your two toms off and play just with your floor tom and play the second set like that. I said, okay, you dare me, huh? So I took the dare, but trying to then navigate and think about how to work these fills and the more complex music, that was an interesting challenge.
It really is. And it's funny because for me, when I was just doing the hi-hat, snare, and kick, you realize you had to really work your hats. You really had to work the hats as your splash, because open it up, close it down. And I ended up going back and listening to like a lot of the Violent Femmes where he recorded with just a snare. And it made me go, well, what could I do with just a snare? And
or Slim Jim standing up with just a cymbal and a snare and a kick,
So let's talk about you then, because you know that I do a Billy Idol tribute. You were in Billy Idol years ago. And
I played with Billy for 8 years, actually, on and off.
Yes, you did. And we went back, and one of the songs that we learned is To Be a Lover, which was a great song. But the one that stuck out was the Storyteller version. And at the time, I didn't even realize I'm learning it. And then I was like, wait a second, that's Mark. And you're playing just the kick and snare. You're standing up. But it was so dynamic. And I mean, was that something, again, that was you were inspired, or you're like, because it was different than the actual studio recording, but it was phenomenal?
Well, Greg Ellis, who's a brilliant drummer and percussionist, Greg was playing percussion, excuse me, and we wanted to do a very minimalist approach with that song. And because it was an acoustic set,
yes,
it was supposed to be acoustic because Steve Stevens was playing mostly acoustic guitar. So although we played electric, he played electric and I was playing drum set most of the time, I wanted some chance to break it down. So that was a very obvious song to be able to break it down on. It was really fun. And I love standing up. And, way back in the 80s, I had a stand-up electronic kit that this guy I'd worked with, Scott Ayers, had hand-built this electronic kit. It was so amazing. And I used to play with my band with the electronic kit, standing up with this electronic kick drum and LEDs that would flash out. So 80s, man. So 80s.
Oh, my Lord. And that is one of those things, being a well-rounded drummer, not just being a punk rock or just a country or just a rock drummer, having a full set of chops. I noticed when I listened to Pink, you've got the gamut. I mean, even though it's very straightforward, you have so much latitude to work with. Is it kind of like that? Do you actually get to, do they come to you and say, hey, what do you feel? What do you hear? And you just go, I got something for that?
Well, essentially, we're given the studio versions, and most of the studio versions of her songs are programmed drums.
Yes.
And the idea is to evolve them and expand upon them live. And so we do. And some of the parts I had originally learned, because I joined the band in 2006, and Milas was the drummer before me, so I had taken some of his parts and his interpretations. And then obviously I've been in the band for 15 years and learned a lot of the songs off the records. And most of them are just loops that play over and over. So there is a lot of latitude to expand upon that. And it is my interpretation and the band's interpretation and the musical director. So we all really work together. We really listen a lot. But the idea is we want to grow it so it's something bigger than the record, because that's, in my opinion, if you have that ability to expand on something, you should expand on something live, unless you're the band and you're the one that created the parts. But I didn't create those parts. They were created by the producer writer that worked with Pink. And as I said, they were next to, especially on the last few records, it's mostly programmed drums. So there's a lot of ability to expand. So there's a fine line between, I mean, I could play a lot. I could play, I try to obviously draw from the expression of the original groove and the original beat.
Still,
and then I might expand upon that, because there is an essence and there is a groove, and you don't want to change that up too much. Exactly. But depending upon the song, as an example, What About Us? That's a very big emotional song.
Yeah.
And literally the pattern in the whole song is that's it. So on a chorus is I'm like, we make it big, but we grow it. So the first chorus I'm going, and Justin, there's one kind of lean, clean guitar part where he goes with a really heavy, distorted part. We really expanded upon it, and we tried it both ways. We tried it minimalist, and then we tried it expansive. And she, of course, loved it when we expanded on it, because that's what feels right live and it feels big. So I really completely composed a different drum part that had nothing to do with the original, but it really worked. And it made it tribal, and it just made it, because the song is so powerful lyrically and so emotional, I wanted to just expand upon the song the best I could without getting in the way.
And see, I think that's the brilliance of it, is to reinterpret some of that in a way, but like you said, keep the essence of the song and yet bring the live element to it, because ultimately we're not rewriting music. And those of us, I'm working on an original project right now, but I'm doing a lot of the tribute stuff. Green Day, Billy Idol, and to listen to it is no different than when like sitting down and learning somebody's album and going, okay, is that what they were thinking? And again, how do I interpret this and do it justice? Not that I butcher the living daylights out of it, and and it's all about me. No, it's about the song and playing.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I see a lot of the younger drummers sometimes that feel like they have a chip on their shoulder, and they come out and they're like, and they want to play a million things. And I'm like, are you really listening to what's on the table? Like,
well, I think that's a result of, there's so much orientation and so much emphasis put on chops, especially when you go on YouTube or when you're on Instagram, or what's the other one that I'm totally spacing on it. One of the other platforms. There are all these platforms, and people are just, posting really quick snippets of like really insane playing and really over the top stuff. So a lot of these kids are learning that, and they're not learning the groove, and they're not learning about the importance of groove. And I think when there's a reality of when you start to listen to a lot of the pop music that's going on, especially the stuff you hear on the radio. I mean, I've recorded a lot of the stuff that I've played on, and so I'll be playing my own parts, but they're basically pop parts unless I'm doing a fusion. Like I played on one of Frank Cavalli's records, and that was a lot more fusion-y, as an example. Played on Steve Stevens' record, which was more of a sort of a hybrid fusion and pop and flamenco.
Yes,
but these kids might be learning it backwards. They may be seeing all of these like gospel chops, or they might be seeing these crazy metal, like double kick, playing at 240 beats per minute. And so that's what they think they're supposed to know and learn. And they learn that. And then there's a reality, if they ever get the opportunity to play in a band where someone needs to
Yes.
tone them down a bit. So I think that's the reason why so many of the kids, I don't think it's that they have a chip on their shoulder as much as it's a new way of learning. It's a new way of new exposure. And it's different than when we were growing up because we're in our 50s and we didn't have YouTube. We were listening to records. We were trying to learn every lick we could. I mean, unless you're listening to like Neil Peart and you learn all the Neil Peart and the Rush licks too, but you can't play the Neil Peart Rush licks if you're going to play the Stones or the Beatles, or you're going to play in most other pop bands. And you learn that pretty darn quickly or you get fired.
I think the best thing I was ever told is do what you do and do it the best you can. And sometimes remember that less is more. Don't overthink it. Don't overplay it. Like really, you are 1/3, 1/4, 1/5, whatever, how many people are in the band. You're that one portion of it. And the one thing that always stuck with me is I am the metronome. I am the heartbeat.
Yeah.
So it's like, just make sure that you're listening. And that could be a tough one to remember. A lot of times the guys go, are you not paying attention? Your eyes are closed. And honestly, my eyes are closed because I don't want to see you. I'm truly listening to everything going on around me. And that's just my way of like blocking the distractions out.
Well, and someone shouldn't have to ask you if they look at you and your eyes are closed, but you're playing well and you're listening. They shouldn't be criticizing you for having your eyes closed.
Just
you're in the moment. Every once in a while, we're just going to do that. But if your eyes are closed and you're not listening, then yeah, they should question you.
I'm always listening, and they always laugh because they're like, "You're never off." But I mean, are you just in La La Land? And I'm like, "No, my eyes are closed. I'm listening. Don't even trust me. I'm listening to what's going on."
I'm the opposite of you. I'm always really looking at everybody. I'm constantly looking. I'm looking at the audience. I'm looking at say when I'm doing a gig with Pink. I'm always looking at Eva so much because Eva, unfortunately, the bass player, is also one of my best friends. But she was standing right next to me, so we're in it so much together. And I'm doing my best to see Justin, and Jason's on the other side over there. And I'm looking at Adriana, and I'm looking at Stacy and Jenny, the singers. I try to look at everybody so we're all kind of sharing in the experience together because it makes me happy to do that as well.
I should preface that by saying I close my eyes a lot at rehearsal. When we're on stage, no, trust me, my eyes are open and I'm staring everybody down. And usually I have a giant grin on my face because I'm just, again, I'm in my happy place. I'm on stage.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, we're drummers, man. We should have grins on our faces. And everybody should have grins on their faces when they're playing music because it's one of the most joyful and amazing. I mean, you said the truth. Though. It's like we sit on the throne, which makes us the kings or queens. We also have the best seat in the house.
Oh my Lord. So now I've gotten in the habit of every show. I try to like stand up on my throne and I take a picture of the audience or I'll do a selfie. And everybody knows I'm a little selfie junkie. And
just don't fall off. Don't spinal tap on me and fall off.
I've done that. That is the most embarrassing. It's not that I got hurt. It's I'm embarrassed for being a fool. It only takes one time. You'll never do it again. I'm just saying. Right. But I take pictures and I show my friends and they're always like, that is the best seat. I'm like, I promise you, there's not a bad view in the house. And I really do. I love watching the expressions on people's faces while you're playing a show. They are priceless. Priceless. And I think
my gosh. Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you are in the world. All the faces look the same. They're all smiling. They're excited. It's live music.
Well, it's been so wonderful for me to work with people like Pink that literally are driving the audience to tears of joy.
Yes.
And you're watching these folks in the audience, just like the closer she gets, you see tears coming. Like they're so moved.
Yeah.
It's brought tears to my eyes. I mean, just watching the audience and understanding and sharing in the emotional experience. I mean, because the more we share, the more we can share the experience with the audience. And you get that feeling that comes over you of euphoria and you just, oh my God, like when the groove is just so solid and you feel like you're just going to jump out of your skin in a great way,
Isn't that what music's supposed to do? It's supposed to evoke emotion. It's supposed to tear down walls. It's supposed to be the ultimate unifier. And that's, I think why we are so blessed because we're like ambassadors. We are bringing people together. And I will tell you, here in Dallas, Texas, we never, for those of you watching overseas, we never stopped. We got down to 25% capacity, but we never stopped playing. So through COVID, when we were in lockdown, that was one of the things that got me through is I still got to go play, even though it was very small crowds or we were doing a lot of live streams. We still got to perform, and everybody coped with COVID a little bit differently. What was it that kind of got you through?
Well, I have another career. I'm also a professional keynote speaker. So I was doing a lot of virtual speeches for folks. And one of the things I did, I really didn't get to play with other people because we were in total lockdown and all the clubs were shut.
Yeah.
I did a lot of sessions and I was with my engineer partner, Eric. So I was with him. And actually the first group of people I actually played with since COVID was when I did the Drumathon. If you can believe that.
No.
I had played. We did the Billboard Music Awards with Pink, but yeah, I mean, I've done very little playing with other people, but I've done a lot of playing by myself, and I've done a few live speaking gigs. I've done a lot of virtual gigs. I did a virtual fundraiser for a buddy of mine with cancer, Matt Cole. We're still raising money for him, actually, but I did that single-handedly by having my friends and artists donate videos and just going online, do live streaming. But for me, it's been a lot of solitude and just enjoying playing by myself. Because that's what I've been able to do.
What two things? Number one, what did you learn about yourself that was positive? What did you learn about yourself that was negative? And I'll tell you mine.
I really found that I am solutions driven.
Nice.
And I found that I resisted the change, but I also realized that essentially when it comes to anything like COVID, I did some research and I just boiled it down to, it really is how we manage change. And there are one of two ways of managing change. You either embrace it or you resist it.
Change
and when COVID first hit, I had 19 speaking gigs, live gigs I was supposed to do, fall out. I was so resistant, and I knew that the virtual world was there, and inevitably I needed to do what I play. It's like a drum clinic, but it's for the corporate world. So I still play drums live, and I talk, and I play. So I thought I could never recreate that virtually. And I was giving myself all these blocks, and I was getting myself anxious. And I woke up a couple of days later and I said, what kind of pathetic story am I telling myself? And I literally made a conscious decision to embrace the change. And the moment I made the decision to embrace it, then I started getting creative and solutions oriented instead of getting barrier fixated. I was goal oriented. Then I put together this very elaborate virtual presentation that took me a few months to do. And now I have a bunch of virtual clients. And then I did that virtual fundraiser. And what I learned about myself is I am tenacious and I will find a way as long as I don't whine about it. I had about a day and a half of resisting and kind of whining to myself because I don't consider myself a whiner, and I don't support when people whine. I support when people win.
Yep, absolutely.
So I just needed to kind of get beyond the initial shock. And that's what I learned about myself is I am resilient and I will find a way. And I just learned and studied, and I continue to do that.
That's awesome. I learned that I'm comfortable with change. And change is a constant. That is part of life.
Yeah.
Things always will and do change. Be comfortable with it. And I am. The negative that I learned about myself is I have a wicked bad addiction to ding dongs. And if Hostess quit making them, I would be better off and I would lose some weight, but they're evil.
Ding dongs are like amazing. But fortunately we had a treadmill in our house. So I was one of the few people that I was one of the few people that actually lost weight during COVID because we had the treadmill. So I just started running my ass off. So I was careful about what I ate because it's so easy to eat those ding dongs, man. Ding dongs were my favorite when I was a kid. Ding dongs and ho-hos. Remember ho-hos?
Oh, yes, I love ho-hos. Okay.
Which is a ding dong. It's a ding dong shaped differently.
It's like a burrito.
Ding dong. It's a burrito ding dong. Yeah, and I love burritos. I love Mexican food. You're right. Yeah.
Oh my God. And it's funny because I tell people all the time, put down the ding dongs and the ho-hos and go support live local music. And I say that because I didn't gain really any weight. Because I stayed active. We have a gym here at the house and I played drums, but oh my God, I just turned 52. And I know I'm still a puppy to some people, but it's a little harder to get rid of some of, the little pattern.
Oh yeah, the older you get, the harder it is to get rid of it. That's for sure. Ask anybody. Absolutely true, man.
Oh my Lord. I will say that.
So for you, it's like ding dong, drumsticks. ding dong, drumsticks, you know?
Or I could just take some ding dongs with me as I go to practice and grab my
Yeah, or
drumstick.
yeah. After you played for a half hour and you sweat your butt off, and then you deserve a ding dong, you know?
Oh.
Then you're burning off the calories, you know?
I'm telling you, Mark, the older I get, the more I act like a 2-year-old. And my wife, I don't know how. I think my son, who's 21, is more mature than I am at times. Just saying, maybe.
Well, that's easy. That's easy to do, Rick. Just look at your hair. Come on, man.
You know what?
I love your hair. I love your hair.
I'm keeping up with you. I mean, you have, for a rock star drummer,
my hair never looks the same any day. It just, it has a mind of its own. I just let it go. I just got it short again because it's so easy. I'm like, you know what? I was trying to grow it out. I told you earlier, I was trying to grow it out. I'm like, oh, the hell with that, man. I'm just going to cut it short. It's easy.
You know who always looks the same? A good friend of yours, Rich. Rich always looks the same. Yeah, maybe a little more salt and pepper, but he always looks the same. I'm like, wow. I'm telling you, it's. I think it's par for the course. You have to.
I know. Well, you keep the hair short, and it's a lot easier. That's for sure. Or really long. Like when I had really long hair, I just wash it, let it, air dry, and just be done with it.
Did you pick up any new drums over COVID? Did you find any like sweet deals, or did you find yourself getting rid of?
No, I didn't really look. I didn't really look. I was in a different mode. I wasn't in the mode because I was only playing in the studio and I wasn't, doing any touring and such. So I kind of wasn't in that key of shopping for drums, so to speak. It would have been a good thing. I picked up a Mercedes because I was driving.
That's a good thing.
I picked up a new. It was a pre-owned Mercedes. That's okay. It's my favorite ride I've ever had. I just love it. It is CLS 400. Yeah, baby. But yeah. So I was really kind of honing more. I was buying cameras and lights and stuff for my virtual presentation. I'm still, I was kind of in that key. More than the key of getting drums.
You can see I actually have studio lights here as well, which yes, we bought some new toys while we were in lockdown. I will say probably the biggest thing was I got to spend time with the family. And and I don't want to miss that because I always tell everyone family first. Family is so important no matter what else in the world is going on. Family first. And I know a lot of people go, "Oh, we fought the whole time. We just went out." And I'm like, my family, we didn't really fight. We did pretty good, The wife didn't have to put a pillow over my face.
Yeah, so did we. I agree with you. We did. It was challenging with my daughter, being in Zoom school.
Yeah.
I think it was more challenging for her, but for me it was a blessing because I would have been. My family's used to me being gone 6 months out of the year, whether I'm touring or speaking or whatever I'm doing. So it was a little bit of a shock. So what we did is I would go to the studio a couple of days a week, and I'm still doing it. I just spent a couple of days at my recording studio, just to kind of give my wife a break and even my kid a break, just so we could get a little bit of space. But we did great. And we actually we took some good driving vacations. Couldn't really flew. I flew a bit for work for speaking, but we did some amazing driving vacations that were totally wonderful. Just driving and getting out in the open air and going either doing beach vacations or going up in the woods and renting a cabin and that was just fantastic. So we're stronger than ever right now. We're just having a ball.
Awesome.
My daughter's back in school, which is amazing. We're masked here, but my daughter started middle school, so it's a whole new world. Whole new world.
That is a whole political thing, and every mask, no mask, and I'm going to tell you, I'm the kid who, yes, I'm vaccinated. I don't mind wearing a mask. I don't care if I have to or I don't. I actually like them. I have a Darth Vader mask, which is I'm a Star Wars nut. I actually like them. I was able to go to the liquor store to buy some tequila with a mask on. Never would have happened. I felt like an outlaw, and yet I looked around and everybody had a mask on. I was like, I'm not that special.
No, we definitely mask. When you go inside, it's just like mask. To me, it's just logical. If I can prevent anything from just doing something logical, that's what I do. It's not partisan, and it's not even really. It's science, and it's just trying to be considerate and of service. Remember I said
right
of
there.
service. If you're of service to other people, then you're thinking not only about yourself and even your own, rather than being so, steadfast about your own viewpoint, think about others. Have some empathy, some compassion.
That's just it. It's think about others. I've never really had a problem with it. And I know some of my friends are like, really, Rick? Guys, I laugh and I smile about it. I make light of it because really, I try to think about the other folks, that maybe the folks that are immune compromised. Really, it's not a big deal for me. And like I said, I'm a little kid. I get to wear it's dress up for me. I'm like, oh, I get to put a mask on it. Oh, Mark, you know what I'm going to tell you? I wish that we weren't out of time. Your energy, your enthusiasm is infectious, and I can't.
Well, I mean, come on, that's like the pot calling the kettle black, dude. You're Mr. Energy.
Thank you, but I'm just saying. Every time I see you at Drumathon,
but thank you. I honor that, and I'm so grateful that we had this time. I'm so glad. I sing songs. I'm so glad we had this time together.
Oh, my heart's beating. Oh my Lord! I look forward to the.
Your backdrop. I mean, you got all the drums and everything. I'm just in my big. Actually, my wife. We had just converted this into a photo studio for my wife right before COVID, and the timing couldn't have been better. It's also, for her family and our friends to stay because we have a bathroom and and all that. But then this became my virtual space to do my speeches. So this is just great. Right now, I'm not using my fancy lighting. I'm just sitting at the desk now, but I've got this huge green screen and all this amazing lighting I set up. And
see, this is my room that has all my drum sets. And then in the other side, I'm a mortgage broker. So I sit at a desk in here and I do mortgages all day. So literally, yes, this is my office. If I'm not doing mortgages, I'm doing my show, or I'm grabbing gear and I'm running out the door because I'm going to play a gig. So my wife's like,
that's
really?
Beautiful.
Yeah, this is my junk room. She's like, you keep your junk in there. And she's like, do you really need that many drum sets? I'm like, yes.
Well, that's why I have a recording studio, and my recording studio has a bunch of drums, and then there's a bunch of drums in the big pink locker. There's drums. I got drums everywhere. We have a storage space. We have a storage space as well, and there's drums there. There's not one drum in our house.
Oh, see, I've also got a studio with my where we rehearse, and I've got gear up there. And the golden rules. She never watches my show, so I can say, I never talk about how many drum sets I have. I just leave it alone. it's like the unspoken.
I don't even know how many drum sets I have. I'd have to figure it out. I'd have to figure it out. No. I know it sounds horrible. It's like, because I have a lot of road kits that I've amassed over the years. So
they're just fun. She goes, do you really need another one? Yes.
It's like, you don't understand that one's different than this one. It has a completely different purpose,
Oh my God. It's got a different color. It's got different rims. Yeah. It's got different wood. Yeah. It's different.
Yeah. And it gives you so much pleasure.
Oh my God. I feel like a little kid at Christmas time every time I get a drum set. Yeah. Mark, thank you for being my guest. Oh my Lord. Would you do this
Rick's been fantastic. And yeah, man.
Awesome. What? Would you come back on again sometime?
Heck yeah, of course.
Nice. You know
we
what?
We barely scratched the surface of what we could be talking about, man.
Next time you come on, though, maybe we'll do it pre-Drumathon, and we'll drag in some of your friends, like maybe Rich. I know he's been on the show. We'll drag in Rich, and we'll surprise Miss April. We'll do it that way next time.
That sounds beautiful. I'd love to do that. That'd be so great.
Thank you. And
thank you, brother. Mwah. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much, Mark. And for those of you that are tuning in for the first time, thank you for tuning in. You can follow us on Facebook, like our page, invite your friends to like us. If you're in a local band here in Dallas-Fort Worth, share your stuff. I love to promote bands and music, and watch my show. You'll find out where they're all playing. Facebook's not the only place. You can catch us on iHeart Radio. We're on Spotify. We do have an Instagram and Twitter account. We are on YouTube. We also have a Roku channel and an Amazon Fire channel. So you can find us everywhere. And if your therapist is still like, why are you watching this guy? Your brain is scrambled. Just tell them because you like the punishment. And it's okay. It's a real excuse. I'm just saying. You can go to In the Pit with Rick. You can get our app for your phone and use the calendar to promote your bands, see where local shows are, or just watch me scramble your brain. Thank you for tuning in. I am Rick. This has been Mark Schulman. Thank you again for being on the show, Mark. It has been
Woo!
awesome.
You're welcome. And as Ringo says, peace and love.
I love it. And we will see you somewhere in the pit.